Okay. Now this book is a work in progress, so this is just a first draft. Charlie remembered when he was 5 and was running through the yard shrieking in the light. He had just completely destroyed his mother's garden. The garden she explicitly told him to stay very far away from. Then there was that incident when he was 12, and he was told to carry his sister down the street to his grandparents' house, and they were both to stay there and not leave. Instead, he went, dropped his sister off, and told his grandparents that his parents gave him permission to go with friends to the river. Sensations tingled on his backside from the memory of the whipping his father received. He received from his father when his parents found out what he had done. He was always doing things like that, lying and getting into mischief. Sometimes he wasn't even up to anything. Sometimes he just didn't want to wash the wares when he was told, or go straight to practice. Sometimes he would take a detour for no reason. It wasn't that he detested taking orders. He wanted to do right. Really, he did. It was Simon. Simon was always the one telling him to disobey. His voice was incessant inside his head. Disobey, he said. They are wrong, he said. Why should you listen to them? Simon was a rebel. Simon hated instruction, and Simon controlled Charlie. It was never clear when or how Simon's control came to be, but Charlie could scarce remember a day without Simon's voice in his head. Mr. Goodrich, the prosecutor waved his hand in front of my face. I snapped at it. Yes, Mr. Bartholomew, I was at her house that night. Don't tell him, you idiot. I have to. You have to what, Mr. Goodrich? The puzzled look on everyone's face made me remember that they couldn't hear him. I don't know why, but Simon only spoke to me. I have to explain, the lie came naturally. I was at her house that night, but what? I fumbled about looking nervously at the audience. Mr. Bartholomew wore a black three-piece suit, like all the other lawyers. Hell, even I wore a black suit. There was a lady to the back of the courtroom in a striking red dress and white jacket. She was beautiful. Not in a magazine cover beauty kind of way, but beautiful in an intriguing, captivating, mysterious kind of way. There was Susan's parents and her brother sitting just behind the prosecutor's bench. 4 other people watched. I didn't know who they were. The jury, 5 women and 3 men, sat apart, trying to judge my innocence. And then there were my parents. My father with his intense-looking eyes, looking hard at me, and my mother, who looked nervous and on the verge of tears. They didn't believe I was innocent. Everyone appeared to judge me. I glanced over them, completely uninterested, except for the woman in the red dress. As much as I wanted to not be interested, and it really isn't the best time, I was curious. Who is she? What will she taste like? How can I... Mr. Goodrich, you were at her house, but... Damn, I forgot I needed a lie. Tell him you just went to get back your ring. But I just went to get my ring back. I was there for maybe 10 minutes, but she was alive when I left. Patrice Stevenson was a short, voluptuous woman with dark, smooth skin, intense eyes, and confidence that could be sensed from miles away. She was a far cry from the shy, skinny child she was when she last saw Charlie. That was almost 25 years ago, and she doubted he would remember her. But seeing the trial on the news, something within her stirred, and she was compelled to make the trip down to the courthouse to show her support. When the news broke of a man slaughtering his fiancée and her lover, well, Patrice thought not much of it. Such killings were rampant lately, and while it was regrettable that this is what society had become, she lost no sleep over it. However, when she learned the name of the man responsible for the gruesome murders, Mr. Charlie Julian Goodrich, She shattered the coffee mug that was in her hand at that moment. She remembered Charlie. He was always kind to her. 3 years her senior, she crushed hard on him, even though she was a mere child of 8. He was a prince from her very own personal fairy tale. He was not just kind, but he was good looking, and never ignored her like the other children did. He always had a smile for her. He and his friend Simon were the most popular boys in the neighborhood. Simon she never fancied. He was cruel and a bully, but everyone loved him because he had an easy smile, an infectious laugh, and could charm the pants of anyone he met. If it were anyone she was inclined to believe could commit such heinous acts, it would be Simon. In fact, she remembered that one time she stumbled upon Simon at the back of the old abandoned building near the primary school they attended. It was isolated, and while she didn't use the route often, she sometimes took it as a shortcut home. That was one of those days. Unfortunately, it was one of the days she should have taken the long way home. When she spotted Simon as she bent the corner, poking at something, she immediately felt a sense of dread. But, determined to make it home quickly, she ignored her intuition and soldiered on. The sound of her footsteps must have startled him, because Simon joked, and then his eyes hit his. There was something strange in them. They looked guilty, but there was something else too. When Patrice's eyes broke from Simon's gaze, she noticed that what he was entertaining himself with, and the sense of dread that she initially felt gave way to fear and revulsion. Simon had Mrs. Pearl's cat, its tail caught in a mousetrap and its head secured to a steel drum with twine. If that was not enough to cause worry, the cat was missing small patches of skin about its body. Simon and Patrice's eyes locked again for no more than a second this time, before Patrice scuttled past and broke into a run until she got home. She never spoke of the incident again. Not when she got home and her mother asked her what was wrong, and not when Miss Pearl asked if she had seen her cat. Charlie, on the other hand, was really just Simon's lackey. The two shared a strange but strong bond. You could never see one without the other, and if you did, it was because they were on their way to meet each other. Charlie, while always getting into trouble for doing what was usually one of Simon's mischievous plans, never hurt any cats that she knew of, nor did he usually partake in bullying anyone. Sure, he never stopped Simon from bullying anyone, but he always looked uncomfortable while it was taking place. So when she saw the newscast, her disbelief was palpable. Granted, they were little more than children then, and she, having lived in the area for only 2 years, it was possible that he changed, but she could not believe such a thing. 2 days into the trial, and things were not looking good for Charlie. The evidence was damning, yet she could not bring herself to accept that Charlie might be guilty of killing 2 others. Tomorrow was the last day for testimonies, and Charlie himself would take the stand. Though she did not recall making the decision, Patrice knew she would attend. She had to. She had to show him that support and hope that it would give him some kind of comfort. There was no reason she should concern herself with him or this case, but reason never factored into her decision. The final day of the trial had come, and Patrice found herself in the courtroom dressed in her smartest outfit. As she sat and listened to the proceedings, she couldn't help but be fascinated by him, the man he had become. In his black designer suit, Charlie was dressed like every other man there, but he was the penguin amongst pigeons. He stood out, not solely because he was in the defendant's chair. No, it was his cool confidence, despite the ridges of worry that was etched upon his face. She could not help but stare. As he took the stand, her paws raised and skin tingled, but as he was being questioned, her attraction gave way to dread. The worry she spied on his features magnified inside her bone and sinew, until their eyes met. He, temporarily distracted from the response he was giving to some questions she could not remember, and she, transported into a dimension of lust and enchantment. She was under his spell. She had to help him somehow. She couldn't see him sentenced to life, or worse, death. Whatever she could do, she would do it. Thank you.